Okay, great. Now that we have some of the basics down in the concepts of traditional Chinese medicine and diet and food therapy, let's take a little look at the details of how foods fall onto our chart of hot, dry, cold, and moist. So if we can just zero in on this chart right here, and we'll just take a little closer look. Okay, so what we've done on the chart is we've divided this into basically 4 sectors. You'll notice the top line says dry, the bottom line says moist. On the right-hand side of the chart, we have hot, warm. Center of the chart are the neutral foods. And then moving over to the left, we have cool and then the cold foods. So if we take a look at the foods that all these categories, we'll talk a little bit about each one and how they can match up and see if we can make some sense of this. And then later on, it'll make more sense as we begin putting together recipes and food combinations. In the dry and cold sector, there aren't a lot of foods. White pepper happens to be one of them, plantains. Also, peppermint is one of my favorites to use to cool things down, particularly if you want to dry things up. So if you want a cool and dry therapy for something that creates a lot of what we call in Chinese medicine hot phlegm, peppermint would be a really good one to use. As we move across the chart over here to the right side of the chart and the more warming or hot foods, we have dry ginger, things like black pepper, scallions, fresh ginger, cayenne. Instinctively, I'm sure you all out there know that those are going to be very warming foods to the body. When they heat you up and warm you up, that can be a very good thing if you're tending to run cold. Ginger, of course, will simultaneously disperse dampness, which makes it excellent for dispersing damp phlegm in the system that tends to be run on the cold side. Cold damp phlegm would be clear because they're white in color. As we go down to the next section, you have nutmeg, rosemary, and these are very common, and garlic as well, very commonly used in cooking, and so these will tend to warm your dish up. So in the wintertime, you want to use more of these when you tend to be a little bit cold. More on the neutral side, we have alfalfa, tuna, rye, kidney beans, mustard greens. Again, slightly drying all of these. Rice, slightly drying, all those slightly drying onions. Squash, shrimp, chicken, and beef. Now, shrimp, chicken, and beef, very commonly used meats, and you'll notice the order that we have them in. The beef being more on the warm side out of the group of that. I believe white fish will tend to fall a little bit more toward the neutral side here. But if you put beef and combine it with ginger, you're going to have a very warm dish. So you definitely don't want to be combining those in the heat of the summertime. Okay, so as we take a look further down the chart here, moving over to the cold, now we're moving into the moistening section. First we have mushrooms, barley, wheat, eggs, sweet potatoes. Now lamb is definitely on the warm side. It's one of the warmer meats. But you'll notice it's very moist. And those of you who are familiar with lamb, there's a lot of fattiness to the lamb, so there's a lot of dampness and moisture involved with that. Then you back to the cold section here, you have asparagus, bamboo shoots, clams, bananas, very cold and definitely on the damp side of things. Salt, seaweed, romaine lettuce, all very cool, getting more and more damp as we go down the chart here. Tomatoes are very cool and damp, so when you have your pizza and you have tomato sauce, you're definitely going to be adding a lot of dampness into that dish. And some of my 3 favorites are watermelon, mango, cucumbers, all very damp, very cool, great for those hot summer days. In fact, cucumber is sometimes used to refresh in water to make it feel a little bit cooler. Again, not quite so cold. You have the eggplant, celery, apples, soybeans, sesame, pears. Not quite as cold, but definitely getting more moist as we go down there. Pineapple is considered more neutral, but still quite moist. Carrots, cheese, definitely on the moist side. Peas, crab, milk, almonds, all of these are on the moist side. Honey is definitely something that's moistening. Now, a common combination is to use honey with peppermint. So if you want the cooling effect of a peppermint tea, but you don't want it to be quite so dry, you can sweeten it up a little bit with honey. That will actually counteract it and balance it out. Pork, definitely slightly on the warm side, definitely very moist. Probably more moist than the lamb. Again, take a look at the fat content of pork. It tends to be very rich in that way. Peach, mussels, lychee, pine nuts, all, again, slightly on the warm side, and some of these all have varying degrees of dampness. What you might notice on this chart is the foods tend to run in a diagonal fashion. There's a lot more dry and warm foods, and there's a lot more cold and moist foods than there are dry, cool, and hot and moist. And that tends to be a general good rule of thumb. This is not by any means an extensive list, but it does give us a pretty good idea about, how everything fits together. So I'd like to, again, thank you all for joining me on this part. This gives us a little bit of a background here. Part 2, Part 3, we're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about some recipes, combining. We'll talk a little bit about the controversy between raw foods versus cold foods. And then we'll wrap it all up with a wonderful little cooking demonstration and show you how easy and simple and wonderful it can be to enjoy some wonderful food for your family. And again, think of balancing your diet. Think of balancing the warm with the cool, the moist with the dry, and think of balancing it within the season, and think of balancing it within what's going on within your own body. Okay, again, thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next round.